morning, folks, or evening, or afternoon, whatever time of day you're watching this. Welcome back to the homestead. And Happy New Year. Hope you guys all had a good holiday, time off work, time spent with family. As of January 2nd, I started preparing the two mamas that are due in a few weeks. I started preparing them for their birth, and today I'm going to show you a little bit how we do that. We started with the bedding, the stalls, and right now I am so thankful for the weather. As you can see, it seems like it's spring outside. Just last week, it was a blizzard. We had 100-kilometer winds, 120-kilometer gusts. It was insane. Even though we had a door covering front and back, the whole barn was dusted with snow. We got snow on the hay, so there's a little bit of moist hay right now. And we're really watching and keeping an eye on that to make sure that there's no mold. Because, just so you're aware, if you feed a pregnant doe moldy hay, they can have a miscarriage. So keep that in mind. We are really watching to make sure that there's no mold on any of this hay before we give it to them. But anyway, so for the next few weeks until mamas have their babies, I am giving them biocharge daily. I am giving the Nubian 4 milliliters every morning, and the Millie, which is like a mutt goat, I think she's a Saanen, however you want to call it, and a dwarf mixed. She's getting 3 cc's or 3 milliliters every morning of that stuff. And what that is, it's like kind of like a multivitamin. And the goat farmer that I get all advice from, she recommended that. I guess since they started using that and started implementing that in their herd, they've had a lot less stillbirths and a lot less small babies. So we're using that, and I had good success last year. The year before I did not use it, and we did have one runt die. Last year we had all of the babies born alive, good size. No one was small. They were all a good size. The goats don't much care for it. Nubian was actually pretty good about it. She didn't struggle too much yesterday. So, you know what? First, I'm going to actually give them their water with apple cider vinegar in it. And I'll throw a little bit more hay in the hay feeder just to kind of get them all distracted and away from the door and away from whatever mama I am giving the vitamin to. Put that there for now. Hold on, ladies. Hold on. Okay, I'll give you some out here. They're all kind of crowding the door. Goats have no concept of personal space. There you go. There you go, ladies. Oops, dropped you. Okay, now that we've got everybody distracted, this one doesn't like it, but come on, no. So you want to get it in the side of the mouth Watch your fingers. Now I'll get the second dose for the Nubian, for Coco. A little shake. Kitty, you had your breakfast. Go hunting. The Nubian has a little bit more. It doesn't smell very good, so if you get it on your hands, be aware. Yesterday and the day before, the Nubian did not give me too much trouble with this. So hopefully today she won't either. Okay. Come on, Coco. She's a little bit tougher than the other one because she's a little bigger. Oh, good girl. Yeah. As far as nutrition goes, that's really all we're doing right now for the mamas. They have been getting a really good high quality hay throughout the whole pregnancy. I give them alfalfa twice a day, and then like the free choice stuff is just like the first cut grassy hays, because there isn't any grass for them to really graze on or browse through right now. So they're actually liking it, whereas during the summer they don't touch that hay. They're like, yeah, this is below me. Kind of take you through here. So this is the stall. Hey, Coco. This is the stall for mamas. I put fresh hay down, or not hay, fresh shavings down. No. You're not allowed in here. You're just gonna go pee on the fresh bedding. Come on. No. The lighting in here is terrible, but we put plywood on the edges just because there's a couple of holes on that side of the barn, and it's to prevent drafts. There's a little bit of a spot here where air can get through, so I want to cut that to size and like screw it on there yet. But we also have a door now put on the doorway, just making a draft-free spot for these mamas. We'll also be adding a hay feeder, mineral feeder, and a waterer in there, and then also a heat lamp. But I'm going to kind of show you guys how to track labor before it starts, and so you'll know roughly 24 hours-ish before the mama has her babies. So this here is Coco. As you guys know, she is super friendly, super cuddly, loves scratches, and so far she hasn't given me any attitude. She's just been overall a super good goat. Really excited for her babies. Her babies are actually going to be mini Nubians. So the buck that we used for her was Bolt. So his mom was a Nubian and his dad was a Nigerian dwarf. Since Coco is just on the small side of a Nubian, we used him to breed her to have a more mini Nubian. Her babies will be 3/4 Nubian and 1/4 dwarf, so that will keep them on the smaller scale, and I'm hoping that they'll inherit the beautiful floppy ears. You like that scratch, don't ya? This here is oh, she walked away, but the little one right there, that's Wendy. She's also a mini Nubian, but she is 3/4 dwarf and 1/4 Nubian. So her mom was a purebred Nigerian dwarf and the dad was a mini Nubian. So that was an accidental breeding. It wasn't supposed to happen, but it happened. And now we have Wendy. She wasn't, she was a friend's goat. So yeah, we didn't breed her. But this year, her babies will be mostly dwarf because we bred her to Chuck, who's also a purebred dwarf. So we'll see. But we don't plan on retaining any of the babies except for her babies if she has doelings. If she has doelings, we'll be retaining them. All the other babies we will be putting up for sale. So anyway, you're gonna have to look at the backside of a goat. Okay, this is Coco. Coco and Millie, they are due roughly 2 weeks. So if you look, her udder is starting to develop. If you feel it, you can kind of see that it's starting to come off of the abdomen. So like, oh, she doesn't like it. But if you watch this, if you watch their udder, about 24 hours before they kid, this thing really bags up. You look at the other goats who are about 2 months behind them. They have nothing developed yet, even though they've had milk before. She's also, I'm not gonna touch her because she's really jumpy, but her udder is also, her udder is also filling up slowly. At 24 hours before they kid, that really bags up. And you also want to watch their behavior. Pay attention to their normal behavior. They usually change a little bit. And it really helps if you know the day that they were bred and count. I start watching after 140 days after they've been bred. So the day that they're bred, I mark it on my calendar and I count 140 days. And that is when I start watching for signs of labor. Usually, it's a little bit early. For a dwarf, they're usually around 145 days. I've never actually had a Nubian give birth, but my friend said it's usually around the 150-day mark. So I start watching and start being really attentive at day 140. And at day 140, I will probably start locking them in this stall at night, so that just in case it happens at night when I don't realize it, they are in a safe space, away from the rest of the herd, and in a clean, dry space. So other things that we're doing to prepare for goat babies, for winter goat babies, is I have a box that I just started filling today using old towels and stuff. So in that box there is, number 1, towels. Number 2, there is a blow dryer, or there will be a blow dryer, so that I can dry them off quick. And if I can't dry them off, if it is super cold out, if it hits like -20 Celsius, then I will bring those babies in the house to dry them off and then bring them back. Okay, so I figured I'd come in the house and go over what is in my birth prep. So a bucket, just something that I can carry everything in, so that if there's a mama in labor, I can just send one of the kids in or grab it and go. Okay, so first things first, towels. Old towels and just old clothes, old rags, just anything that is absorbent and something that I can dry the babies off with. You, mister. Next up is selenium, or vitamin E gel. I got this on Amazon. If you're American, you can probably find it at a feed store. For anybody who's Canadian, maybe out west, you can find stuff. But for us here in Southern Ontario, we have very limited access to anything for goats and livestock, really, as far as like anything that could be classified as vet stuff. We have to either find it online or find a farmer that has some in stock that they've had over the years and get it that way. Anyway, so I got this on Amazon. It's a selenium gel And we give this to the mamas right after babies are born, and give a little bit to the babies right away after they're born as well. Oopsies. That was water, I promise. Anyway, so a suction thingy, I forget what these things are called. They're like a nasal bulb. You use them for babies if they have a clogged nose or whatever. But yeah, you want one of these to suction out any mucus and any phlegm that is in the nostrils or in the throat of baby goats, especially if it was a fast delivery and the mama is like just dropping them out quick. You want one of these because the mom won't have time to clean it out. Next up, you want gloves. Just single-use gloves. If you're in Canada, get them now. I don't know how long they'll be single-use plastics on the shelf. Anyway, so these gloves, I guess that's optional. Some people don't mind. They don't care if they touch the slimy babies. But if you have to reach in and help with a delivery, the less germs that are put into the mom's body, the better. So you want something to protect her. So the gloves are really, they're optional, but I would recommend them. Next up, some garbage bags to collect any of the stuff that that you used up, just so that you kind of know, okay, this is garbage, this is not, you know, just to kind of keep yourself organized and easy for cleaning up after. Next up, molasses. This, again, I guess would be optional, but I like to keep this on hand with just an old container. I fill this with hot water and put a few spoons of molasses in there and give the mamas molasses water after they deliver, just to kind of give them energy and help them regain their strength afterwards, because the birth takes a toll on them. And yeah, I've just always done it. Not every person, not every farmer will do it, but that's just something that I've always done. So I have molasses and a container that is for the molasses water. Next up, lighting. Obviously, you don't have to have this flashlight. This is like a plug-in. I can have a spotlight or more, I guess, better lighting in that stall. Like that stall has awful lighting. You may have good lighting, but it's good to have supplemental lighting. I may just get a headlamp just so that my hands are free. Yeah, and then next is, this is ivermectin or bimectin. It is actually for cattle, but like I said, we don't really have much in terms of goats, like for anything goat related, or so this is actually one that you would inject, but I give it orally to my mamas right after birth too, just because birth is traumatic for them. And normally when they go through a traumatic event, that is when they're going to have the most parasite issues. So I give them this almost right away after the babies are born, just to kind of help combat the stress. So this combined with the molasses, the selenium, also the BioGlow that I showed you guys in the barn. That's also something that you can give them after birth to give them that boost. You also want to consider, like this is just a bottle nipple thing. This fits on any glass bottle. I'm trying to get away from my 2-year-old. Anyway, you could use one of these. You just have to have a glass bottle, like a glass Coke bottle or something like that, to just in case they need to be bottle fed. Next, you also heat. You can use a heat bulb, a heat mat, heat pad, just anything really that will produce heat for them if they need help. Now, it's really just in the first few days of life that they really need that extra boost, that help to regulate their body temperature, especially in the winter. During the summer, you won't really have that much of an issue, but because we are having babies in the winter this year, we have to consider heat. And I do have a plant mat, a plant heat pad. I will probably use that in a bin for the babies if they are struggling and they need help. So yeah, that's really pretty much it. And then timing. That one you can't be prepared for necessarily. You don't know when they're going to have their babies, but there is signs, like I showed you with the udder. Those things bag up before they have their babies. They also lose their ligaments. That one is a little bit trickier to figure out if you've never done it before. So the udder, in my opinion, is a more obvious method of figuring out when they're gonna have their babies. But overall, it doesn't have to be a scary thing. It's really exciting actually, but if you're unprepared and it's cold, it can cost you a baby goat. So be ready, be vigilant and watchful. Like if you're not watching and not careful, that's probably gonna be the biggest mistake. Because anything else can kind of, like, you can grab towels, you can grab whatever, but if you aren't prepared for an emergency and an emergency happens, it's much worse than if you go into it prepared and then an emergency doesn't happen. Much better that way. So yeah, just if you have baby goats coming this winter, just be prepared for the cold, depending on where you're at. Right now, I've been watching the forecast for the next couple of weeks, and it doesn't look like it's going to be terribly cold. And of course, the weatherman can be wrong, but I'm really hopeful that it's going to be right. I've been praying for good weather and really hoping that God delivers on that front.